I don't know if you would call it out there a must-win situation for the Flyers tonight down there in South Philly, but I would, because of the way the Flyers have been playing the gauntlet, the fact that there's teams coming up on their heels. It was a must-win tonight for me, and it had it all down there at the Wells Fargo Center. Playoff-like atmosphere, as Mike Lauro alluded to off camera. Just a great win, good character win for the team tonight as they kept battling, kept fighting. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs finally beat the Maple Leafs. And joining me here tonight on the Clear the Ice program, sorry about all that. Welcome to Clear the Ice, first of all, the Flyers postgame show here on EOP with your boy Matty B, joined by Mr. Mike Lauro. Mike, would you rather Pat call you his broadcast partner or his life partner?
Broadcast. I already have a life partner. So, yeah, she's called my wife. So, yeah, the broadcast partner would be just fine. Man,
what's going on, Mike?
Wow, Maddie, I'm sitting here, as I normally do when I am a part of this show. I usually come to the studio. I sit back, I watch the game, I analyze it, I take my notes. What a game for Owen Tippett tonight. This kid is starting to pay dividends on this contract that he signed. I do believe he's one of the core players. He just keeps getting better and better, and this year. But like you said, great gutsy win for the Flyers. It's a team they haven't beaten all year. Matter of fact, we just played them 5 days ago, and they routed the Flyers pretty bad in the same building. So for the Flyers to come out, and we were talking off air, but I thought that the Flyers really owned them in the first 2 periods. The Flyers were all over them. Give the Leafs a little credit. They did battle back here in this third period. But Flyers defense got to shore up late in these games.
Yeah, they do. And obviously with the fact that we're still really shorthanded defensively with the injuries, and then Cam York going off the ice there at the end, under his own power, didn't look good, but he didn't go right to the dressing room, which is a positive thing. Can't afford any more injuries on the defense. As you said, it's got to get clamped down a little bit. It is definitely suffering because of the injuries and the Sean Walker trade and all that. But Mike, we had some drama off ice prior to this game, and I want to get your take on it before we kind of jump into this game. And before we do any of this, let me go ahead and remind the good folks here on the watching that.
All right, guys, it's time to talk.
Not that. Part of this show here is brought to you by the good folks down at the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar at 5400 Fern Boulevard. Is that a real Fern Boulevard in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania? That's got to be Delco. It is in the Holidays Inn and Suites at the Delbrook Event Center. That they are going to be hosting, Mike, the Fightins final pre and post game on April 7th as we're getting ready to kick it all back off here for the Phillies 9 days and counting to the start of the baseball season.
I got that phone call this morning, or this evening. So yeah, I'm waiting, happily waiting for that.
So make sure everybody's you get to come out and see the Fightins final crew in action. You know who they are because they're the same crew that does this show. We're just interchangeable to a different sport. But Mike,
speaking of the Fightins, real quick, I will be at the home opener. I know you have the Fightins final that day, so I definitely probably be giving you a call in there, Matty, or at least letting you know.
No, absolutely. We'll definitely work that in, and I cannot wait for opening day. It's the second best day of the year. So, Mike, off ice drama. John Tortorella benched, healthy scratched. I don't know how you want to make it seem better, but he benched Sean Couturier, the captain, due to some lack of production. I believe it's 1 goal in the last 27 games. He hasn't had a point in the last 9 or an assist in the last 9, whatever. Mike, I get no one's above the law and everyone's got to perform. But what's your take here on the benching of the captain?
I love it because it's sending a message to the rest of the locker room. If you're not doing your job and you're not getting the job done, I'm going to scratch you. And it doesn't matter who you are. And trust me, by him doing this to Couturier, it's going to light a fire under him, but it's also going to light a fire under the rest of the team, I believe. It has to. If he is your guy, he's your captain. If he can do it to the captain, that means he's letting everybody know they can do it. There's the wife checking in, as she always does.
I agree with you, Mike, and Steve checking in saying it ain't pretty, but it's 2 points. It's definitely 2 points that are needed. Mike, my take on this is this. I view the captain in a different view than I view the rest of the team. You're the captain for a reason, and it's not necessarily because you put the puck in the net. It's not necessarily because you're on the score sheet every night. There's the intangible things about being a captain, the leadership role that you have, or the leadership role that the coach obviously thinks you have by making you the captain. Now, if it's performance-based, if it's the fact that Sean Couturier has not gotten on the score sheet, and just that, I disagree with the situation of benching him. But if there's other issues afoot, if there's other like leadership issues, or there's other captaincy problems with him and that he needed a message sent, then okay. But if it's just for pure production, I watch. He's not having a good year productively, but there's a lot of things he's doing off the puck. There's a lot of things he's doing behind the scenes or behind the net or whatever that's creating offensive chances for his teammates. I get it. It's a production business. You got to get on the score sheet. But to me, there's more going on with the captain. How can you go to battle without your leader? So if it's a production thing, I am not in favor of it. If there's something else going on, then of course, obviously I am. And if there is something else going on, then it's a bigger problem.
Yeah, I could agree with you there with that. But I think it's a little of both. I don't think he just sat him just for that. Plus, you know what? Maybe he sensed something with Couturier. Maybe he needed to be set. Sometimes that happens. And like I said, I think it's going to light a fire on the Coots. And as much as badly as you want to say it, but I mean, your captain wasn't in the lineup, and they beat a team that they couldn't beat all year with him in the lineup. Yeah. So think about that for a second. I mean, I'm not saying that Couturier is a bad player or anything like that, but the coach has got to send a message. And I understand, and I agree with you with that, but I think he may have seen something and just knew, like, hey, you know what? I got to get this dude out of line up, get his head right. And maybe that's what I think he did. I think it's more along that line than punishment. You know what I mean? So maybe, Coots can clear his head. He'll come back Thursday night. You got Carolina coming to town. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the starting lineup there. I don't think he's going to – if he sits him again, then there's definitely an issue.
Steven checks in with he's not a fan of it. He thinks it's a long-term mistake. Then he says that maybe it's okay in 2024, but I haven't seen any major game deficiencies. Listen, Steven, I agree with you, and this is a dangerous game you play with John Tortorella. I mean, this is what kind of, not this particularly, or specifically, but these are the things that get him run out of town. These are the things that get the shelf life thing going for Tortorella. He does something like this in every spot he goes to that starts that little, like, that first crack in the foundation, if you will. And, obviously with the win tonight, the validation of him sitting Couturier, I don't know if he's feeling good about it or not. Obviously, he has not spoken to the media about it at all. He made the decision this morning, did not talk to the media after the morning skate, did not talk to the media after during pregame either. I don't know if he's going to go and talk to the media postgame, but obviously the question is going to be asked if he goes to the media. Mike, I'm going to send the media question over to you. If John Tortorella is a stoic, old-school disciplinarian, I'm the head coach, my rule's law, or my word is law, why dodge the media about this topic?
That's just Tortorella. I mean, that's just him. Again, that's one of the main reasons why I kind of wasn't in favor of him coming here. I will say up to this point, he's done a really good job with this team. But he wasn't my choice. And if you heard me and Pat during the time he was being brought in, I was strongly against it. And just for the reasons that you said, Kevin Hayes was a very productive player under him in New York. And now you take a look, by the time he came back here, and Kevin Hayes got back here, Kevin Hayes didn't want to be here anymore. Yeah. Like, that's saying something. Yeah. You know what I mean? I see a couple other comments right here, and Steve brings up a good one. It says, next one comment down about Ryan McDonough. He this isn't the first time he's done this. He did it down in Tampa. He's also done it in Columbus. I can't remember the guy's name who was the captain out there in Columbus, but he sat him. But it kind of caused a rift for about maybe a week. And then Columbus got on a really, really, really good run. I believe that was the year they got to, I think, the quarterfinals or whatever before they got.
It was. I remember.
Yeah, they got. I think it might have been like 2014 or ish, somewhere around there. But they went on a nice run, after that in the playoffs. And, so it does have that effect, but it also has the effect that you're saying as well, that it goes negative. So to me, I don't know. We have to wait and see on how Couturier comes out Thursday night.
Yeah, it is a wait and see type thing, but it was done and the effect worked. The Flyers ended up winning, and let's get into the game, Mike, because we spent about 10 minutes here talking about some other things, but let's get into the game. The Flyers would get things going early and often in this game, or early, not often, but early, at the 19-second mark of the first period. Owen Tippett, a recipient of a turnover by the Maple Leafs on their blue line. The Flyers are able to kind of control the puck inside the Toronto zone. Owen Tippett kind of, I've seen the replay. He's in front of the net, and the shot is coming from the point. He gets the stick blade in, creating some traffic in front of Swami. You know what I'm talking about. Is able to get the Samsonite. Is that his name? No, it's Samsonov. Able to get the goal by him. They give the Flyers the 1-0 lead. It was Tippett's 25th of the year assist from Cam York, his 19th, and Morgan Frost, who's really I'll get to Morgan later, but boy, this guy, where else he come from? But Flyers up 1-0, Mike. Nothing like getting a quick start going in this game, huh?
Yeah, and I'd be remiss, man, if I didn't say about Delorier too. I thought Delorier did his part, dropped the gloves with Ryan Reeves, which is he's a known tough guy. And I'll tell you what, Delorier, I think, got the better of him in that one. Reeves started out hot and heavy, and then Delorier kind of gave him like a little stiff punch to the eye, and we didn't see Ryan Reeves after that. So I mean, and Ryan Reeves is a tough dude. So I mean, he just fought the kid from New York too.
Yeah, the kid who got suspended, Rimpey or something like that.
Yeah, Rimpey. Yeah. So I mean, that dude's about as tough as they come, man. But I thought, I thought, like I said, man, the first two periods, I thought the Flyers just completely dominated the Leafs. They were just more. It seemed like the Leafs were running in mud. I don't know if maybe their schedule's catching up to them because they've been doing a lot of bouncing around. So, but yeah. I got to agree with Steve here, man. Without Mitch Marner in there, man, it's but they're still the way that they were able to come back and that. Well, we'll get down the line with that, but just you see why they are where they are. They're a great regular season team. They just never put it together in the postseason.
No, and you mentioned the Atlanta Braves and the Dodgers of the NHL, and it's definitely been them and the Bruins together recently, but we every year's new. That would be all the goal scoring in the first period, Mike, but there was a lot of good chances, a lot of good offensive pressure. The post was getting in the way consistently for the Flyers in the first period. They controlled that period. They controlled the tempo. They ended up not controlling the shots on net. They were actually outshot in the first period, 7-8 or 8-7 by the Maple Leafs. But you had to feel good heading into the first intermission, based on the recent history between these two teams, especially 5 days ago when the Flyers got skated off the ice, and of course the Flyers struggles throughout this the gauntlet here. To go into the intermission with a 1-0 lead and a game in that period, at least you pretty much outplayed the Maple Leafs.
Yeah. And it was good to see. It was really good to see because, again, against these top-tier teams, like the Flyers are like 15-19 this year against the Eastern Conference. So you got to start building these points up. Like, you don't have any more games against the West. Flyers did really well against the Western Conference. Now you got to start beating these teams that are in front of you. And, for them to come out the way they did tonight, I felt like the Flyers played with a purpose tonight. Now, the thing is, are they going to be able to keep doing this going forward?
Absolutely.
The gauntlet's getting pretty tougher. It's getting tougher. You know what I mean?
Crazy, man, the way they built this.
Listen, these next 3 games are no joke for the Flyers.
Yeah, no, it's pretty rough. The Flyers, though, would come out in the second period, and then they would follow the script that they followed in the first period. An early goal. 56-second mark of the period. Travis Sanheim, his 9th from Garnet Hathaway, his 6th.
Great pass.
Yeah, it was a really good pass and a nice shot through a lot of traffic. Who was that? Joel Farabee kind of dancing on the blue on the paint. Oh no, that was Paling dancing on the paint.
I thought Paling tipped it. I thought he got the goal. So don't be surprised if you see like later on they switch it. But I thought he got that goal.
In the replay, there was a little contact, but it was mainly from Samsonite, Samsonov, was kind of trying to push Hathaway out of the way. But Hathaway was not in the blue. So the goalie can do all he wants and bitch and moan. If you're not in the blue and you're not touching the goalie, there ain't nothing it's not interference. So Flyers are up now at this point, 2-0, and looking good. And then they were looking really good at the 16:26 mark of the period. Morgan Frost, the scoring point machine that he has become recently over the last 10 games or so. His 12th goal from Ronnie Attard. His first assist of the season for Mr. Attard as he's rejoined the Flyers from Lehigh. And then Paling his 14th. Talk about this goal. This was another perimeter snipe shot through traffic. Actually, this was a really good goal from Morgan Frost because the traffic that he shot through was Maple Leaf traffic. It wasn't really much. There was one Flyer there, but the way Morgan Frost was able to kind of draw the play to him, they followed him across the ice, causing a screen in front of their own goalie. And Morgan Frost with the snipe shot from distance, and we'll get to the distance issue here in a second. Flyers, though, up handily at this point, 3-0.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that was a snipe shot, and it looked like Samsonov definitely had tried. It looked like he had no time to react on it. By the time he started to react, it was by him. Yeah. And it was a nice high shot, went over the shoulder. So I mean, you gotta give Frost credit, man. He's been plugging along, and he's had games. He's had games this year where you were just waiting for him to try to get on the scoring sheet and do stuff, and it was just he's just been in and out, inconsistent.
Morgan Frost with the 2-point night again. Now that makes 11 points in his last 10 games. The man is absolutely on fire. I think it's safe to say he's played his way out of the Don Tortorella doghouse that he's been in all damn season and last year too. I was honestly surprised that he survived the draft, the trade deadline. I thought he was gone. The Flyers were going to move him for something, but they didn't. He was kind of turning it on right around that point, but he has been an absolute invaluable offensive asset, both with his goal scoring and his assist ability for this team going down the stretch here.
Yeah, and another guy who had he wasn't on the score sheet tonight, but you kind of seen him. He was throwing his body around tonight. It was a great sign to see that he's using his big frame now, start knocking some people around. Was Tyson Forrester as well. I thought he had a pretty good game. I mean, I know he didn't shoot it as much as I'd like him to shoot it. He's real quick to pass. I wish the kid he's got a hell of a shot. I would love for him to start sniping a little bit.
Yeah, they're all kind of fine on their way. Steve says, I hope York isn't bruised too bad on that knee already down to. Yeah, listen, Steve, we mentioned that at the top of the show. The Flyers cannot afford, literally, they can't afford any more defensemen to get hurt. They really cannot. I didn't see old man Stahl tonight. Did he not make it out of the locker room, or was he in his Craftmatic adjustable bed and they didn't wake him? I mean, whatever the case was, I didn't see him on the ice. That's a positive thing. And if Cam York is not hurt, then we can keep him off the ice. But if Cam York is hurt, old man Stahl is coming back, and that's something we definitely can't have.
Yeah. I've had my fill over the last 3+ seasons between him, Justin Braun. Can we stop with grabbing the guy that's been around for 100+ years on defense? Just for once, I hope Jonesy and Danny Briers just stop this madness with bringing these guys in because they don't work out. Like I said, if you were watching me and Pat on Sunday, or it's the Saturday when they played the Bruins, he single-handedly was the reason that Charlie Coyle got 2 goals.
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty bad. He was pretty liability out there. He was bad.
He was so bad.
Can't move. Steve says, hallelujah for Frost ripping that shot. Need to see more of that mentality from him. Yeah, and that goal the other night when he went between the legs, I mean, he has definitely picked it up offensively, and he's the unsung hero, and he's been working his way into my Flyers 3 stars of the game. Obviously, he's there tonight, but you got to give the guy credit. He's finally living up to something of what we expected him to be. Jim Carrey. See, here's the thing. Here's the problem, and I'm going to tell you why I'm stealing his joke. Because it's like the third. This is like the damn third Maple Leaf game I've done all year. It's like you, Mike, with the Bruins. You just can't seem to get away from the Bruins. I can't get away from the goddamn Maple Leafs. And when Sammy, Samson, Swami, whenever that guy's in net, what do you want me to do? It's low hanging fruit. I can't resist that. I'm like the kid with the red shiny button. Come on now.
I think so far the teams I've had the most are the Capitals, the Bruins, and who else? I had somebody else too. Oh, Florida. I would have had Florida for the third straight time too, but
yeah, I know. Well, we had to make that scheduling change, and it's messed up because I'm the one who does the schedules. So, I'm putting myself, and I'm putting you on the Bruins, and I'm putting myself on the Maple Leafs. But thankfully, no more Maple Leafs unless we see them in the playoffs. Didn't Breer have a slow start to his career like Frost? No. nothing like Morgan Frost. No, Daniel Breer changed the game when he came in the league. It was that it was him, then it was Martin St. Louis, and then on and on up there from there. But no, it was I don't remember a slow start at all. And he was playing for the Buffalo Sabres, which were garbage at that time, and then he made him into something. But no, I am not going to comp that. Morgan Frost has had a bad start for whatever reason, player development, bad teams, bad situation, whatever you want to call it. He has picked it up, and he's playing to what we expect more out of him. But I don't necessarily think he's ever going to be what I thought he was going to be. He's not going to score 40 goals. He's not that kind of player. But that's not really what if he can facilitate like he's been doing and be involved in the plays. That's all I really want from him. He's a role player, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he can score probably within the 25 to 30 goal range. Yeah. I think he can get around that. But if he can be that facilitator. Yeah, I mean, why not?
So Steve says that he had to deal with the pre-2025 rules or 2005 rules. Right, Steve, the only rule that would have applied to him was the blue line situation, no two-line passes. Daniel Breer had natural speed. He could create his own offense just through his speed and his ability to move the puck. Now, again, I'm not sitting here telling you that he came out blazing out of the gates, but he has not struggled like Morgan Frost struggled. And I'll go on record by saying that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, Breer was pretty good.
Yeah, it's Coyote days. All right, so that was your score, 3-0 heading into the second intermission. The Flyers a little bit better on the shots in the second period, outshooting Toronto 15-11, taking the 3-0 lead into the intermission. Mike, coming into the third period, were you worried that a comeback was a coming, or did you think this was the Flyers' night? Because up to this point, as you mentioned, the Flyers really were kind of taking it to the Maple Leafs, and it hadn't been for some crossbars and some goalposts. It could be 6-0 heading in the second intermission.
Yeah, it could have been. And I'll tell you what, I knew Toronto was going to fight back a little bit. They are a good team.
Yeah.
And you knew you were going to get their best punch coming out in this third period. I was just, with the Flyers and the way that, with their defense being so shorthanded, you could just see it, man. Like, you just knew that. And let's give Harrison a little credit, too, because he was standing on his head the first two periods, keeping that puck out of the net. And you just knew it was coming. Like, you just knew they were going to have that defensive lapse. And that's what I was waiting for. Same thing like I saw Saturday. Saturday, the offense is fighting, and the defense is just collapsing. And that's what I was waiting on. I was waiting for the defense to collapse. And sure enough, Flyers stopped playing their zones and started chasing. And every time they start chasing, they give up goals.
Yep. And it didn't take long. Minute 11 in the third period. William Nylander, his 37th goal on the power play. Austin, I hate you, Matthews, 28th assist, and Tavares, his 28th assist as well. This goal.
Flyers. Tavares.
Yeah, he does. So does Austin Matthews. I mean, who kills the Flyers more? Austin Matthews or Sidney Crosby? Well, I say who's killing currently, because I think Sidney might have been doing it at one point, but he's kind of slowed down a little bit. But Matthews is absolutely sticking it to the Flyers every time he plays them.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He does.
And so did Tavares. Tavares has been sticking it to the Flyers for a long time, too. All those years he was with the Islanders, too. And it seems like every time he plays against the Flyers, he finds a way to get on the score sheet. But he's a good player, man. He's a good player.
Now, this goal, I'm going to kind of give it on Sam Harrison. There was some traffic in front. Good movement by the Maple Leafs on the power play. Good zone passing, good lane filling. But the shot was kind of from the slot, kind of at distance. Erson channeling his inner Carter Hart, Went down into the butterfly just a little bit too soon. I don't know if he was trying to see past the screen, but that opened up that corner of the net and it went right over that top shoulder, that shoulder of his. 3-1 Flyers. And on the power play, as I mentioned, the Flyer one of the Flyers' struggles throughout this gauntlet, or since March 9th, since that Tampa game where they lost 7-0. They've now, with tonight's action in the books, they've been shorthanded 18 times since March 9th. They've given up 7 goals shorthanded in that stretch. That is obviously not the 87% effective rate of the penalty kill that we're used to seeing all season long. Now, obviously, it's a product of the defensive issues, the injuries on defense, and then, of course, the Sean Walker trade, which I'm not going to necessarily want to pin a lot that. I mean, Sean Walker he had a hell of a year with the Flyers, or whatever, 3/4 of a year with the Flyers. But if removing him out of our penalty kill has done this, then we made the wrong decision to trade him, because if he's the glue that held together the penalty kill, which I'm not necessarily prepared to give him that, I think the other injuries have a lot more to do with it. But the Flyers might have made a mistake by moving Walker.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you knew they were going to move him to try to get him a cup. He's a free agent at the end of the year, so don't be surprised if you see Sean Walker come back here. He likes them. He likes the Flyers, and the Flyers like him. So they just did him a solid. They knew they had him on a 1-year deal, and he wanted to be placed, with a chance to win a cup. And him going to Colorado, he's going to have that chance. But as far as him being the glue, no, I think it's more the ladder of that with the defense. Question, any news on Drysdale? I haven't heard anything.
No, he's week to week, and you know how this is, right? The Flyers did promise us transparency with this new regime, but they're not going to. They're not going to tell us what's going on. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think Ray, after the injury, went down and said the juice wasn't worth the squeeze at this point. If it's that labrum, that problem that he had in that shoulder, that he had to get repaired a couple years ago or last season, just shut him down. Shut him down. We'll see you next year. It's not really worth it. We're not making a cup run. We have the future to look forward to, and you are part of that future. So I'm not really that concerned about the no news. Obviously, it's a lot worse than what we've been told.
Yeah, it's the typical upper body injury.
Yeah.
So one thing I hate about hockey, it's either a lower body injury or an upper body injury. So now you got to pick and choose what do you think it is, and instead of just coming out going, dude's got a bad neck, you know what I mean? But they all got to keep hush hush.
And I hate the week to week prognosis. What the hell does that mean, week to week? What are you gonna? So 7 days from now, you're gonna talk to me again? I just say, well, till further notice. Give me week to week. Like, how's he being reevaluated every whatever? But no, I think if there's smoke, there's fire. Shut them down. We'll see you next year. Steve says, if we beat Carolina, I am feeling huge about our playoff chances. That's a big if, Steve. Let's get there first. Let's enjoy this game because we're not even through it yet. But Flyers now 3-1. Todd Bertuzzi then would make this thing even more interesting at the 10-16. Yep.
Todd was that.
Oh, did I say Todd Bertuzzi?
Yeah.
Oh man, showing my age, man. Wow. Okay. Is that his son? Is Tyler Bertuzzi his son?
I don't know, but when I saw T. Bertuzzi, I went, I know that ain't Todd. He has to be retired.
Yeah, and we're not playing the Capitals either, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi. Sorry, Todd and Tyler. His 14th of the year at the 10-16 mark of the third period from Riley is 43rd and Tavares is 29th. Get the thing going at 3-2. This was a goal of this was the Flyer defensive issue goal. Once again, couldn't clear the puck. Puck gets sent down deep in the Flyer zone. Flyers are caught puck watching. They're not paying attention to the players that are sneaking in behind them on the weak side. And boom, it goes top shelf. And the Maple Leafs have themselves. We have a game, Mike, 3-2.
Yeah, that was Scotty Lawton took that penalty. You knew, again, you can't keep giving a team like Toronto chances, man. And this is where you're sitting back and watching, and you're just seeing this defense. For some odd reason, at a certain point in time in this game, in every game now with this defense, you just watch them. They stop doing what they were doing the periods before, and they fall back into the shell, and then they start chasing. And once they start chasing, that's it. The other team starts coming back on them. We saw it Saturday with the Bruins. The Flyers put up a big fight up there, but let's keep it, as they say, keep it real. It was a 2-2 game going into the third period up there last Saturday. So the Flyers were right there with them, and that's the best team. Well, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I think Florida's probably the best team, but for them to sit back and again, I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe Tortorella's got to start saying, "Hey guys, around the 10-minute mark, stop falling back into the shell. Keep doing what you've been doing." And they just didn't do it. So Lawton gets called for the penalty, goes off, they score. It's now 3-2. Funny enough, or no, it wasn't Lawton that got called for that. It was somebody else. Lawton got
it wasn't a penalty. It was an even strength goal.
Oh, even strength. That's right. Yeah.
So it's coming up here in a second. Steve says that Bertuzzi is his nephew. Thank you, Steve. And again, no disrespect to the Bertuzzi family, because I know Max Domi plays for the Maple Leafs, not Ty. All right, I know that. I
was at the game tonight.
Was he really? Was he in the penalty box talking to fans?
No, real quick, I see our buddies over at Nasty Knuckles podcast. They interviewed him. He said his one biggest regret is that he never wore the orange and black. He said he would have loved to play here. Him and Matthew Barnaby, both of them, said their one regret is that they never played with at least one season here in Philly.
Me and Al were talking about that the last time we had the post. Because we had the post game in the last Leafs game, and I mentioned that. I said, "God damn, did he not embody what the Flyers were all about at that time in the 90s, and why was he not here?" And then me and Al I was like, well, listen, if he was here, we would have loved him. And obviously he's not, we hate him, but no, you're right. Why in the hell was Ty Domi never a Flyer?
And Barnaby both. Yeah. I mean, Barnaby was that guy that could get under your skin, and Domi would fight. Can you imagine if they would have had both of those guys on that team? Like they would never have to buy, they would be right up there with Kelsey.
And then Donald Brazier, add him into the mix. I mean, we got the Ross Free Bullies going again, man. So it would have been interesting. JFC with Dries, NHL and NBA just make injury reporting so political. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back, because this is really a key moment of the game. Yeah, Mike alluded to it. Scott Laughton takes a penalty in order to save a goal, and it was straight up. He had no other choice. Urson was out of position. The puck was alone in the slot. It would have been an open, empty netter. Scott Laughton does take the penalty. The Flyers go back on the kill. Thankfully, though, this time the kill was good. And then the Flyers were rewarded as the puck is being pushed out of the zone just as the penalty is being expiring. Here comes Laughton out of the penalty box on the breakaway. A funky through the zone spinorama shot went kind of wide. Samsonov is kind of out of position. Tippett gets the puck in the corner, throws it wildly out front, and then when Scott Laughton finishes his little spin, he looks down, there's the puck, and he bangs it home in the empty net. 4-2 Flyers. Definitely one of the most creative goals I've seen the Flyers score this year.
Yeah, it really was. And it was kind of like, hey, look what I found.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. When I watched it, I said, wait a minute, did he score that? Because I thought initially it was Owen Tippett. I thought Tippett hit it off the goaltender and it went in. I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, then I saw the replay and I saw it was Laughton. I was like, oh, come on.
Yep, it was spinorama going on, doing figure skating moves, and when he finishes, he looks down, there's a puck laying there, and he just bangs it right home. So 4-2 Flyers. That was Laughton's 11th of the year. The assist went to Owen Tippett, his 20th. That was also at the 13-minute mark. Steve says Lawson Frost have upped their game since the trade. Yeah, Laughton had a great game on the puck and off the puck tonight. He had a really good, really strong game in those two aspects. I got to give, I'm not the biggest Scott Laughton guy. Once again, was kind of surprised he didn't, was a trade deadline casualty, but definitely had a great game tonight. 4-2 Flyers. Domi still keeps in touch with that dude that jumped in the box. That was awesome. That was awesome. We did Ranger Goon Castaways plenty with, but if we would have had those guys, we would have had Barnaby and we would have had Domi. That's like Goon to another level of Goon. That's like Uber Goon, there's nothing.
Can you imagine lining up with that fourth line for sheer Domi and Barnaby.
That would have been uber goon. The Maple Leafs, though, would try to get this thing even more interesting at the end of 17:50. John Trevor's his 22nd goal of the year to make it 4-3. The Flyers caught a little bit, napping a little bit again. Bertuzzi, the 19th assist, and Matthews is 29th. 4-3. Mike, as this game was kind of running down the stretch, I got to a point where I don't want 1 point, because a tie here or a shootout loss or overtime loss would have been just as bad as a goal. We needed both points. I was getting a little scared when the Maple Leafs made it 4-3.
Yeah, I thought, oh, here we go again. Because it was kind of, to me, it was, I had the feeling opposite of what I felt Saturday. I felt Saturday, if that game was 5 minutes longer, I felt like the Flyers would have beat the Bruins, because I felt like they had the momentum. Tonight, I'm saying if the game was 3 minutes longer, I think Toronto comes back and not only ties the game, but I think, we only get 1 point, because they had the momentum going. They were swarming. And the Flyers, again, defense, man, these guys look tired. Zamula, got caught a couple times out of position. To me, he looked really – he was the one Flyer defenseman tonight that I kind of looked and was like, man, he looks slow. To me, he just looked like – he reminded me of Shel Samuelson, just a left-handed Shell, But that's the way I looked at it with him, and I was like, man, I'm like, all right, here we go. And, that clock started winding down, and I was like, whew, okay.
Yeah, they withheld. They hung on. Flyers do hang on for the 4-3 win. The much-needed 2 points. The third period shot totals were 12-7 to the Maple Leafs. The totals for the game, 30-30. The Flyers finished. Flyers were 0-2 on their power play. Toronto was 1-3 on theirs. Flyers blocked 36 shots tonight, Mike. The Flyers blocked. That's right. That's not a typo. They blocked 36 shots to the Maple Leafs 9. So they outblocked Maple Leafs 36-9, still playing the John Tortorella style. The Flyers gave the puck away 4 times, and they took it away 3 times. They get now up to 78 points, and we'll go over the standings and all that here in a minute. But 36 shots, Mike. The hell's going on there?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, it's just these dudes don't care. He said, are the Flyers that slow or the Leafs that fast? Kind of combination of both, Al. That's what I'm saying. The Leafs, was it me? I don't know. Maddie, maybe you can answer, because we both watched the same game. Did it look like their passes, that Toronto's passes were more crisper than ours?
Listen, Toronto's a better hockey team. They got more athletes and they got better goal scorers. I mean, me and Al were going over this last week. I mean, what's awesome? Oh, he had 55 goals coming in or going out of that game. So, he's got like 55 goals, 30 some odd assists. There's multiple guys on that team with over 30 assists. There's multiple guys on that team with over 13. They're constructed better. That's just the reality of it, and it looks like it on the ice. That's why the Flyers, every time they play, no matter who it is, they got to go 110. They got to go 110% because they're just not that skilled to take any night off against any team. We've seen them try to do it, and it does not work for them. So it's just the reality of it. The Leafs are a better team.
Yeah, I feel that they are. Well, look who's checking in.
Congrats to Torts. Bench the captain is a bold move to speak volumes to that Flyers bench. Yeah, Pat, we kind of went over that in the beginning of the show.
Little late there, buddy. You talked about that about a half hour ago. Where were you?
I said basically if it was a performance-only benching, if there was mad that he's not getting on the score sheet, I'm not necessarily in favor because there's more things going on for a captain. But if there's other things going on involving the captaincy, yeah, okay, I get it. But if there are other things going on with the captaincy, then there's a bigger problem there. Mike is kind of on your side there, Pat, by saying that, it's a bold move. And, towards showing everybody that nobody's above the law.
Yep. All right. So, Matty, we finish up with a 4-3 final.
Yep.
There. You want to take a trip around? You want to do your 3 stars, or do we want to do?
Yeah, let's do 3 stars. Let me pay a bill, and then we'll do 3 stars. All right.
Let's do that.
All right. So before we get to our Flyers 3 stars of the game, let me remind everybody at home that this show is brought to you in part by the good folks over at the Cherry Injury Law Group. Dave Cherry at 610-565-0300 for all your workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law. No job is too small. Call Dave Cherry, even if you are a friend of mine. So let's head now to our Flyers 3 stars of the game and take it away. Where's the pretty little... Why do I not? Okay, here we go. Your Flyers 3 stars of the game. All right. For those of you who don't know how this works, I'll inform you. We are going to pick our 3 Flyer stars of the game. It's a playoff or a takeoff of what the NHL does by giving out their 3 stars of the game, but it's only Flyers. Even if they lose 7-0, which we did last week, we had to choose 3 Flyer stars of that game. So I'm going to hand it over to Mike. Mike, who are your 3 Flyer stars of the game?
Okay, coming in third is Travis Sanheim. I thought Travis Sanheim had a great game tonight. Scores a goal, blocked a ton of shots. He seemed to get in the way. He was throwing his body around tonight. Really frustrated Austin Matthews at times tonight. From what I've seen during the game, I gave him my 3rd star. My 2nd star, we've been talking about him, Matty, Morgan Frost. I gave him the 2nd star. He had 2 points tonight. Almost had a 3rd. He clanked rubber early on in the first period. He was one of the guys that caught rubber, or I should say he caught iron off the rubber. And my 1st star is Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett, again, 3 points tonight, goal, 2 assists. You know,
strong candidates right there. I'm going to go with my 3 stars. I like that. I like the way you went with that. I am going to go with my number 3 star. You know what? Nick Deslauriers. I'm going to give Nick Deslauriers my 3 star because setting that tone, getting that playoff atmosphere going, getting that fight out of the way. It was a good fight. He won the fight. I actually got a few good shots in before they went down on the ice. It was a good way to tell the fans and the Maple Leafs that the Flyers mean business tonight.
Yeah, and you didn't see Ryan Reeves for the rest of the game.
Definitely an intimidation tactic that worked, and it worked beautifully. So, Nick Deslauriers, here you are my number 3 star. My number 2 star, I got to go with Scott Lawton. And as I mentioned, he did have a goal tonight. He ended up with a +1 on the sheet. He had 5 shots. It was a beautiful goal, and all the work that he did off the puck as well tonight. Took the penalty that actually saved the game for the Flyers. So I'm going to go ahead with Scott Lawton as my number 2. And how can I not give my number 1 star to anybody but Morgan Frost? A 2-point night. A 2-point night, a +2 night as well. 3 shots on net. Continues his stellar play. 11 points now in Morgan Frost's last 10 games. So those are my 3 stars of the game. Frost, Lawton, and Deslauriers. All right, Mike, let's take a look around the National Hockey League.
Well. I'm going to give you the games that are in session right now. In the 3rd period, those Colorado Avalanche are visiting St. Louis. They are up 4-3 with about 5 minutes left to go in the 3rd period. Also, Nashville is hosting San Jose. The Preds are up. Nashville is up 5-2 with just around almost the same time, about 6 minutes left to go in that one. In the 2nd period, a nice little battle up there in Edmonton between the Canadiens and the Oilers. Right now, it is 1-0 Edmonton. Chicago is visiting Los Angeles tonight. They are scoreless, just about almost halfway through the 1st period. No score in that one. Buffalo visiting Vancouver. Vancouver is up 1-0. Again, roughly around halfway going through the 1st period. These next 2 games are the same. Minnesota, Anaheim, no score midway through the 1st. And Tampa Bay and the Vegas Golden Knights tied at 1 with about halfway through the 1st period. Guys, these are your finals from this evening. Those Carolina Hurricanes that we'll be seeing in just 2 days from now when they come to the Wells Fargo Center, they do the Flyers a solid tonight. They knock off the Islanders in Long Island 4-1. So Flyers get a little bit of breathing room. The Bruins continue to beat up everybody in that division over there. They beat the Ottawa Senators 6-2 tonight. The Red Wings beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-3 in overtime. So each team gets a point there. The Devils officially are dead. I'm sorry, not the Devils. The Penguins are officially dead. I'm calling them dead. The Ice Pigeons are croaking. They lose to the Dirty Devils 5-2. And the Winnipeg Jets go into Madison Square Garden. They beat the Rangers 4-2. That's a little bit of a shocker there.
It is, but definitely I'll take that as well.
So that's your look around the NHL, the NHL out-of-town scoreboard. By the way, just for us keeping track, you have the, Washington's kind of right behind us, Maddie. These Maple Leafs turn right around tomorrow night. They go down to the Cap Center, and they have a pretty good game down. They have a game down there against the Capitals tomorrow. So kind of got to root for the Leafs tomorrow night.
Definitely got to root for the Leafs. And let's take a look at the updated standings here on this Tuesday evening. The Flyers are currently still in that third spot in the Metro, now at 78 points. But don't look now. It's not the Islanders that are on our ass, as you mentioned. It's those Washington Capitals. Where the hell they come from? 75 points, as you mentioned. They get ready to face the Maple Leafs tomorrow. Islanders are at 73 points, kind of right behind them. And then you got to keep an eye on that wild card picture, too, because if the Flyers do get overtaken, that's where they're going to look at Tampa with 78 points and Detroit with 76. So, Mike, this race continues to continue. No end in sight, as Flyers now have 13 games remaining on their schedule. Unfortunately, the Islanders have 14, and I believe so do the Capitals. So,
yeah, I'm still a little bit in shock, though, that the Flyers actually have the same amount of points as Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd have told me that in the beginning of the year. I'd have been like, sign me up. Because Tampa's been really hot as of late, too. So, the one team that I've been looking at that really nobody's talking about, but they're kind of hanging around, and they're only 2 points behind, but they're in the other division, and that's the Detroit Red Wings. Nobody's talking about the Red Wings, but they're right there. You know what I mean? So you got to watch them too as well.
Yeah, what I think we're seeing right now this year is the change, the nuances of the NHL in years to come. And what I mean by that is obviously the Penguins are falling apart. Capitals are too old. They're bottom line. They're too old. But you got finally the Detroit Red Wings, after years and years of being just better, now are starting to slowly rise up. Flyers are coming back up. The Devils, they are. I don't know what happened to them this year, but they got good young players. The power balance in the NHL is starting to shift a little bit. Obviously, when you're still looking at the Kings of the East, Boston, Florida, Tampa, they remain intact. But as you mentioned, though, is Tampa really that intact? How is Tampa, with that group, how are they not the President's Cup winner right now? How are they not the Florida Panthers?
I'm saying,
it's very,
mind-boggling. But you know what? I love Florida. I think, to me, Florida, they're the team that, even though the Flyers have had good success against them, that's the team for me, man. I think they're on a mission. I got them winning the Cup this year. Because I don't think the West is that strong. I think it's going to be a rematch. I think it's going to be Florida and Colorado. They're my two teams for the Cup. That's what I'm saying.
That'd be a good final. That'd be a very, very good final. All right, everybody. Remember, all that was brought to you by the good folks over at Philly Sports Trips. They got you covered. This is when the Birds take over Brazil, which apparently the opponent might have been leaked on another podcast.
I heard about that.
Cleveland Browns. One of the players was being interviewed on a Cleveland Brown podcast and mentioned that they are playing in Brazil. They're playing in Brazil. And I don't know of any other games going on in Brazil, Mike, do you? Other than the Eagles game? So it's looking like it's possibly the Eagles and the Browns. Sign me up, coach. I mean, I don't know if that's really it's Brazil. I guess it doesn't really matter who the opponent is. But yeah.
All I know is this.
Yeah,
the memes are going to be great. Deshaun Watson in Brazil.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably not the best place to put them. But don't forget, check out Philly Sports Trips for information about this trip. A bunch of other stuff that they got going on. It's the summer, so that means it's the Phillies. They're going out to Pittsburgh. They're going out to Baltimore. They're going out to Fenway Park. They're all over the place. So make sure you're checking in. And of course, they're heading to London as well for your Phillies later this summer. And then the good folks down at Dolan's. Good times, Quizzo, great memorabilia giveaways. You never know who's going to fall through the front door. And obviously, clear your calendars for May 25th. Wiffle Ball Mania is returning to Dolan's. John Kruk is going to step into the wiffle ball circle this year for his first time. Mickey Morandini returning. Why does he look so mad in that picture? Look at both of them. They look pissed off, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I'll tell you what, I was there last year, man. I was watching Morandini, dude. Morandini's nasty. He throws like a slider.
So it should be pretty fun.
Like he doesn't care too. Like, there's a couple kids there. He's like, I don't care. Like messing with them. But it was cool, man. Like, they were really good guys. I remember Charlie was there last year. Got a chance to meet him in Hollis. So
May 25th. May 25th. That should be a beautiful day.
Speaking of Dolans, there was a thing today. If you checked on their, was it their Facebook page? Austin Eckler, the new running back of the Washington Commanders, was in there over the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
You never know who pops in there.
You never do know, and that's the great thing about Dolan's. Absolutely. So make sure you're checking it out, and again, make sure you keep the Fighting's Final in mind. This is going to be our first live pre and post game show, April 7th. I believe it's the last game of the National Series, and we're going to be at the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar at 5400 Fern Boulevard in Drexel Hill, PA. So make sure you keep that, and of course. Well, I'd be remiss here on the Clear the Ice program. Here's the rest of our week. As you mentioned, it does not, Mike, get any easier as we move through the week. Thursday night
for the rest of the week.
Thursday night, Pat and Al are going to bring the Hurricanes to you. Al and Mike will be back on Saturday to bring the Bruins. That's right, back at it, the Bruins, Mike. That's what I'm talking about. And then me and Pat.
Yeah, that's what I love. I got to talk about Brad Marchand. And
Pasternak, and then me and Pat wrapping up your week or beginning your week, however you want to look at that, on Sunday against the Florida Panthers.
Is that a night game Sunday night?
Yeah, it's a
night game. All right, that's cool. Yeah,
so it's a 6 o'clock start.
All right, so that's not too bad. So I can't wait because I know the Boston game's an afternoon game. So
I believe so. Yep. So, all right, Mike, before we let you go, 4-3 Flyers, big win tonight, 78 points, kind of get some mojo going in the right direction. They benched Sean Couturier for healthy scratch purposes, all that drama. The Post played a big part in it, but the Flyers come out with the win. What are your final thoughts on this game, and where can the folks find you out there?
My final thoughts on the game are this. The Flyers, I feel, have been really gaining a lot of experience from this gauntlet that they've been through over the last week or so. And they're hanging with these teams. A year ago they got blown out. So it's a good thing to see. Tonight they get a win. Tonight they beat a team that has been a thorn in their side for the last 3 years. So they beat a team that, and they did it without Coots. So I'm liking where this is going. Now, they got rid of that hurdle. The next one is this Carolina Hurricanes team. The Flyers play them tough all the time. They really do. And you know what? I got a feeling, and I'm calling it now, I got a feeling the Flyers are going to win that game Thursday night. I think Pat and Al are going to have something good to talk about. I think he starts to build a little momentum going into Saturday.
I actually, honestly, and this might sound weird, I'll take a loss against the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'll take a loss against the Florida Panthers. I want the Bruins. I want the Flyers to not only beat the Bruins, but put it to them. 7-0, something like that. Put it to them.
Listen, I think the Flyers sent a message to that Bruins team a week ago. Like I said, there was 5 more minutes in that game. Flyers were winning that game. They just ran out of time. So they got to bring that intensity, Matty. So, and you can find me, Clear the Ice, Fighting's Final, and every Sunday morning between 9 and 11. It all depends on where we're going to be. Usually 9 in studio. I'm along with the Gobbler, Pat, a.k.a. Pat from Ambler, Pat Bernard, for P&M in the AM. So that's where you can find me.
That's Pat from Ambler, Mike's broadcast partner, not his life partner, as Pat told me. And I don't know why he would say something like that, but
listen.
Anyway, so listen, my final thoughts on this game was a big win. A lot of things going against the Flyers recently. It's been some spotty play. Obviously, the defense is taking a major hit by losing all those players through trade and through injury. Goaltending has not been there for whatever reason. But the Flyers did come out tonight, and maybe it was a message. Maybe this is a wag the dog moment. Maybe everybody was in on this. Maybe Tortorella pulled Coos off to the side and said, listen, man, this is what I'm going to do to try to motivate them. Play along. Maybe that's what the captain does. I don't know. I don't know. Really.
I agree.
So, maybe this is something to do that.
I definitely agree to that, Matty. I definitely agree.
So whatever the reason is, it worked for the night. Obviously, going forward, It's going to be a big story, and hopefully that it was just this night, and then we can get Sean Couturier, because the Flyers, you know what, the guy's missed 2 years due to back surgery. I don't think he's ever going to round back into that silky winning forward again, but you gave him the C for a reason. Let the guy be the captain, but we'll see going forward. But a great win tonight by the Flyers. The gauntlet continues. They needed this win. Then they got the Carolina Hurricanes, Boston Bruins, and the Florida Panthers all coming up back to back to back. We got you covered here on the Edge of Philly Sports one last time. Here is the Clear the Ice schedule for the rest of the week. You can catch me on this program on the Titans Final, as well as Talking Philly Sports with Matty B every Monday night at 8 p.m. Mike, it's been a pleasure. It's always fun to work with you, man.
Yeah, always a blast working with you, Matty. And you know what? Let's go 4-0 this week.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be outstanding. That would definitely help our playoff chances immensely. So, all right, everybody. Until we talk again from the immortal words of Gene Hart, Mr. Gene Hart, sorry. Good night and good hockey.